In the meta with very annoying heroes like Mauga, Ana, and Kiriko, it's important to deal with them very quickly in order to make progress on the objective. Nothing is getting done if this enemy trifecta stays alive, so you need to deal a lot of damage to them and fast. You might be thinking, oh, I'll just play Widow and take out the supports from range, but both those supports are ranged, and what are you going to do when it comes to Mauga? He eats bullets for breakfast, yours are going to do absolutely nothing to him. So who should you play? Who does a lot of damage at very close range? Well, obviously it's Reaper. Not only does he do insane damage in close range combat, but he's very mobile and can get in and out of the fights very easily. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can stomp this meta single-handedly. From playstyle to ability economy. By the end of this video, you should understand how to play Reaper a bit more competently. But first, I'm going to ask you to subscribe and leave a like on this video, as I want to continue making Overwatch 2 related content that's not only entertaining, but educational too. First things first, kit breakdown, because it's very important to know what your abilities do. Reaper wields 2 shotguns with a total ammo of 8 shots. Now, this doesn't seem like a lot of shots, and you might think that he needs more bullets. But you'd be mistaken because these do a lot of damage at close range. If you can hit crits, you can essentially 2-tap enemies with 250 health because he's just that strong. His 2 abilities are both movement based, a bit like Tracer. Shadow Step lets you teleport to a targeted location, and Wraith Form allows you to become invulnerable and move faster, but lose the abilities to shoot at enemies. He also has a passive ability called the Reaping, where dealing damage to enemies restores a bit of health. It's a very simple kit, but it can be a bit difficult to know when to use which ability and why. This brings me on to my first tip for learning how to play Reaper, and that's to use your abilities to position yourself between 2 points, your backline and the enemy's backline. A lot of Reaper's kills come from flanking the enemy team and taking them by surprise because he can get in and get out super easily. Plus, he does a lot of damage quickly, so enemies usually don't have time to react and just get sent back to spawn. Obviously, when doing this, you have to play cautiously, being aware of your surroundings and who you're fighting against. If you dive a Widow, that's usually a guaranteed win because you have more health and do more damage. But if you dive someone like a Brig, it could be a bit more difficult because they're equally as strong as you are at close range. If you do see yourself getting into situations where you don't think you can win the fight, then you can always fall back with Wraith Form or Shadow Step to get grouped up with the rest of your team. This brings me on to my next tip for learning how to play Reaper, and that's to not only take the flank but group up with your teammates on the attack. Reaper can be played 2 ways. One is to go on the flank and take your enemies by surprise to make space for your team to play in, much like tanks do in the front line. And the other is to assist the rest of your team when you go in on the attack, so kills are secured a lot faster because you all keep each other alive. You keep your supports and tank alive by getting kills, and your tank and supports keep you alive by healing and mitigating damage. This works best in a rush comp with a team like Ramatra and Lucio, who are better at close range combat and play off the backs of one another, because you can play off the back of them too. You get constant healing from the Reaping and Lucio's AoE healing whilst dealing a lot of damage with Ramatra at the front of the fight. My third tip for learning how to play Reaper is to understand how your ult, Death Blossom, works and when you should use it. Death Blossom is an absolutely amazing ult because of how much damage it does in an area to multiple enemies at the same time, not just one. The only downside to this ult is that you can be stunned out of it, and it can be mitigated because it's just a mass volley of bullets, so you need to be careful when using it. The best way to use it is by taking the flank and surprising the enemy team, giving them as little reaction time as possible and in the process securing a few kills. If you only get 1 kill with it, that's completely fine. You still got a kill and dealt damage to other enemies, which is better than nothing. In short, take your enemies by surprise and watch out for any abilities that could mitigate or cancel it outright. My fourth and final tip for learning how to play Reaper is to use the terrain to your advantage. Positioning is super important when it comes to playing Reaper because he hasn't got much range, so you need to use everything at your disposal to your advantage. And one of these things is the terrain. When pushing up or flanking, make sure there's somewhere that you can use as cover or rotate around, because if an enemy DPS with range like Ashe spots you, you're getting sent back to spawn and have to take the route all over again because you probably can't defend yourself against someone who's 50 meters away from you. You can do damage at range, but it's very little compared to how much you can do at close quarters. That just about does it for this video. So, should you learn Reaper? The answer is an absolute yes, especially in this meta. Now is a better time than ever to pick up Reaper because he performs really well against heroes like Mauga because he deals super high damage at close range and he's mobile, meaning you can keep yourself alive in scenarios where you're split off from your supports by moving around a lot and dealing damage because of your passive lifesteal ability. It's only small, but it makes a huge difference when you're going in alone and making absolutely insane plays. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm going to ask you to like this video as it lets me know that you find these videos not only to be helpful, but entertaining. Let me know if you have any requests for other heroes in the comments below and subscribe so you don't miss that guide when it comes out. There are some heroes that I probably won't be able to make a guide on simply because I don't play them enough, but there are many more heroes on the list that I can make guides on than I can't make guides on. Finally, have a nice day or night if you're watching this at night and make sure to check out my other videos. Not only will I appreciate it, but you might too.